start now anyway. Right, this is a piece that you've written, Mammy, about an old Derry saying called "What's the bars?" Okay, and Derry people say that, but not many people know where the phrase has come from.
Aye.
But you do, and this is what you've written, and it's really interesting. So, do you want to begin now?
Now, where will I start?
You started work in Tilly's factory. Okay.
I started work in Tilly's factory when I was 14. The starting wage was 5 shillings and 4 pence. The starting job was a message skirt or a thread clipper. One of the first things which fascinated me was the language. They seemed to make up their own words for things. Like the toilets were called the parlour. The daily buns for the morning tea break were called joins. For whatever reason, I don't know. Apocrovius.
Apocrovius, that was a word.
That was it. Apocrovius was another. Applied to anything secret, and you won't find that in any Oxford dictionary. There were many more upwords which I can recall, but Sir Shakespeare made upwards all the time. He was a master of language. Now, there's one term which was in the lexicon of language in every
factory.
and is with us up to this very day, and that is the bars. That window there should be.
Now, I'll close that window now. Go ahead.
Now I will tell you how that word came about. At that time, the machines were driven by steam. The sewing machines were.
Go.
How that word came about. At that time, the machines were driven by steam. The sewing machines were fixed on benches the length of the room. Beneath the benches were pipes carrying steam, fitted with a system of fair-sized wheels, pulleys and belts, connecting the power to each machine. There was a safety shield comprising of 4 bars all the way along. Between the noise of the system, wheels and the whir of the sewing machines, it was very difficult to hear any voices. So if the girls at one end of the room had news and they wanted to...
If the girls at one end of the room wanted to
convey to the girls at the other end, they would rattle the safety bars with their feet, loud enough to be heard above all the other noise. With the result, the cry went out, "What's the bars?" It might have been a simple thing, like somebody was getting married or engaged, or something more important like calling a meeting because the boss wanted higher production. So the bars was a fast means of communication and became integrated into everyday conversation. Like, did you hear the bars about Mary Brown? She's finished with her bars. The bars might progress into banter. Where were you on Saturday night? Your bars was at the Crump then. We're not speaking Mary. Well, I'm sorry to have to tell you the bars. He danced with a blonde all night. So you have no chance unless you dye your hair. How's that for bars? There has been 3 plays written about the church factories this year. I went to see 2 of them and I was very disappointed. that there wasn't a word in either of them that related to the iconic language of the shirt factories, especially the bars. Of course, what I'm talking about is the history of the shirt factories from 70 years ago.
Let me read. No.
Now, when I became the manager of a shirt factory in the middle 50s, I was the only woman that ever managed a shirt factory in Derry. It was a new English firm who had shirt factories in Gloucester and Chard in Somerset. When they opened in Derry, it was called James Cook and Co. Later changed to Surdic. I managed it for 7 years, and it was a happy workplace because I was a factory girl. I knew what made factory girls tick. By then, the steam power had gone, the old benches were gone, and single units and electric machines were the order of the day. Time and study had arrived, and personal activity was measured.
Was recorded in seconds. Go you ahead.
Conditions had improved greatly, but it was still hard work. There were no bars at their feet to rattle, but the bars were still fresh on their tongues and flowing in their language.
Fantastic. There's a great bit of writing and a good bit of history. Did you enjoy writing that, Mummy?
Yes, that's lovely.
Excellent. Excellent.